7 told you how the state's Children, Youth and Families Department broke its promises to New Mexico kids.
They were not following state law requiring children's safety should be more important than reunification with families. Now we're learning of more broken promises. Here's Peyton Spellacy.
In Target 7's special investigation, Broken Promises, we told you how dozens of children had died after being placed back into their homes. But there are more issues involving the agency charged with protecting our children. We're now learning they're not following a settlement agreement they made with hundreds of children who were placed in foster care and were forced to live on the streets.
Go Fish.
A friendly card game.
I only know 2 card games. I know Blackjack and I know Go Fish. Do you have a 10?
Go Fish.
Oh, what the heck?
Rudy Bolt played it every day.
This is life and death for us, 24/7.
A means of therapy.
This is an icebreaker for me. I'm a very reserved person.
He was taught the game shortly after his life changed forever.
The cops came and my dad was passed out and she was manic.
It was a night Rudy will never forget.
And so they found 12-year-old me, and my room was just a box full of Legos, a broken radio, and a lamp.
Rudy was taken here. This was a CYFD office at the time. They immediately placed him into foster care. However, over the next 2 years, he would have issues with nearly every family he went to.
They weren't really sure what to do with me. I had some behavioral issues.
It got to a breaking point when he was 14.
They were like, we have no placements. Is there a place you could stay at your friend's house or whatever? And no, well, okay, well, try to figure something out.
So at 14, he was forced to stay on the streets.
I'd walk around. I'd like to stay at parks and stuff. I started sleeping at my school. I'd sleep at the Sarkville at Trisco.
But someone made a difference.
Sarah's been my lawyer since I was 12. She's been day one. From the minute I was taken away, that was her.
This is Sarah Krecka.
I am a youth attorney and guardian ad litem for foster children in care.
The state appointed her to represent Rudy, and she's one of several attorneys who filed this lawsuit against CYFD in 2018. There were 13 named children, hundreds of others like Rudy who were represented in the class action.
Young people who had been in multiple placements, spending the night in shelters instead of with families, foster families, spending the night on the floor of the office, not receiving their well child checks, not receiving the education. Many of them require special education, not receiving the education that they deserve.
It's known as the Kevin S. settlement, and in 2020, under Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, the state settled the suit, agreeing to hundreds of changes that would prevent kids like Rudy from being forced to live on the street.
We were thrilled. We were so excited because we felt there was a real partnership.
The settlement was touted as groundbreaking, with hopes that it would change the troubled agency. But now Krecka and her co-counsel are no longer thrilled.
We have yet to see the type of development of those foundational goals, first-year goals, required to change our system.
They discovered that CYFD wasn't living up to its end of the bargain. After an 8-day arbitration hearing, the independent arbiter, or judge, came out with this scathing report about CYFD, saying it violated its agreements and children in CYFD custody are subject to, quote, irreparable harm. It found CYFD had not increased its caseworkers and actually implemented a hiring freeze at one point. Workloads had not improved and supervisors were still taking cases. And CYFD failed to maintain a supply of foster homes.
Is pretty damning findings by the arbiter.
John Day is KOAT's legal expert.
And it's significant because it points out problems with staffing, CYFD staffing. It points out problems with CYFD implementing policies to benefit the children and families who are relying on it.
The arbiter ordered that CYFD must meet certain goals by April, and he wants to hear from independent experts as to whether CYFD should have an ombudsman. Rudy says he hopes something like that would be in his deck of cards.
My hopes is that everybody that are in charge of the system or can make a difference in the system, like really power-wise, will listen to this and not just see a piece of paper. They see a kid. They see somebody that has kind of been scarred through the system.
For Target 7.
It looks like you won, because
I'm Peyton Spellacy.
The Target 7 investigation continues tonight on Action 7 News at 10.
Anytime you're talking about a child and the outcomes for them, of course, we want to try to fix that immediately, because it does. Every day that we're not fixing it, you know, there are kids in our system that maybe aren't getting some of the services that they need.
The Secretary of Children, Youth and Families Department responds to the arbiter's ruling. Hear what she says the problems are and what she's going to do about it.